What are some of the challenges facing leaders when it comes to facing paradoxes? Number one paradox, in my opinion, is profit over social responsibility, at least in the business world. There are a lot of companies that have felt the brunt of the effects of not being socially slash environmentally responsible. To name a few, your Exxons and your BPs. The pain that they felt for not being environmentally responsible is numbered in the billions, which were taken out of the company's direct profits. A lot of companies are now making changes to create initiatives that address their corporate responsibilities and are making them part of their organizational structure. I believe that these companies, like IKEA, who have a strong grasp of environmental sustainability, will see larger gains in their near future. The customer nowadays is more informed than they have ever been, and companies that are profiting off of poor business practices that are linked to corporate responsibility are being called out by watchdog groups. Corporate Responsibility magazine put into publication a list of the least corporately responsible companies in the world called the Blacklist. What I see in this list is the true paradox. These companies, which are some of the leading companies in the world, seem to not care at all about corporate responsibility, and they appear to be doing just fine. Actually, they're making huge profits. So, even though the materials that I have read so far point to the benefits of having a corporate responsible company, there seems to be a disconnect between the reality. Ultimately, it pays to not be corporately responsible, and the decision to create initiatives, well, at this point, at least, this point in time, um, it appears that being corporately responsible doesn't pay out as well as not being corporately responsible. And so the decision to create initiatives is completely up to the company itself. So I guess the question would be, is it a paradox at all? If we're just talking about numbers, I would have to say that it is not. As a CEO, it's your job to create as much profit as possible, but the paradox comes into play when you have to weigh the profits of something that at this point in time is hard to quantify in numbers. Now, I understand that it is easy to say that there are a lot of ways to quantify corporate responsibility, which there are, but at this point in time, apparently they do not equal or surpass that of business as corporately irresponsible as usual. It's a paradoxical decision that must be made by a leader who sees more than just profit. When you think about your own leadership style, what challenges will you be faced with? Within my own leadership style, when concerning paradoxes, I tend to run into the same problems or situations, no matter what organization I work for, whether it's a regular job type situation or when I was in the military. And it makes me hard. It makes it hard for me to function. As a person, I am extremely loyal, but at the same time, I'm kind of a stickler for the rules. This has caused personal conflict within myself uh, throughout all the places that I've worked throughout my life. Weighing the right thing to do for the organization over what the right thing to do for the individual is that I am loyal to can be a subordinate, but it tends to be people who are my supervisors. Maybe they helped me get to where I am. So sometimes the loyalty and the right thing, it's conflicting, and it's hard for me to decide which one to go with. It's always a hard decision no matter which way I end up leaning, and I'm never entirely happy with whatever decision I do end up making. What are some of the obstacles that you believe stand in the way of most leaders? I think one obstacle that stands in the way of a lot of leaders is whether they're a team player. I find a lot of times that people and organizations make people into leaders that have performed the best as an individual, and they take little consideration on how they work in a team environment. I believe that being a good team player should be a solid prerequisite before you are a leader. Another obstacle is that a lot of leaders have personal agendas that get in the way of the organization's agenda. They worry about how the situation will make them look rather than if it is good for the company. A leader should consider the people they are leading first and foremost over their own self. Gene Hackman had a great line in Crimson Tide, which happens to be one of my favorite movies, He said, I don't abide save asses and I hate kiss asses. A great leader is neither of these. Another obstacle that leaders have, and I am extremely guilty of, is micromanaging everything. I have a hard time letting things go. I have to know exactly how the project is going, which tends to make me sometimes lose sight of the bigger picture. I've definitely been working on this skill, um, so I hope I get a lot better at it than I am now. What tools do you believe you possess to overcome these obstacles? The tool that I possess which can help me fix or at least address my deficiencies as a leader is that I actually want to be a better leader. I believe that I have the tool that always allows me to realize when I'm doing something wrong or when somebody tells me I'm doing something wrong and it needs to be changed. And if you couple that with tools like the leadership self-assessment, I'll be able to I can see my faults and I have a desire to fix them. This might sound simple, but I'm sure we've all worked around people that we have worked with that just plain refuse to change or admit that change might even be necessary. And these are the kinds of people that always blame the situation or other people around them, so they don't advance their personal skill set or become a better leader uh, or whatever it is they're trying to be better at. Being able to notice you have a problem and then do something about it to change, even if you don't change it perfectly, the attempt at changing it is more than what I've seen most people even try. Thank you.